Just a few minutes, I'm connecting. Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, live via YouTube streaming, and on Skype online as well. Each one of you is welcome to this live broadcast. Loneliness and witnessing. I combine these two things, loneliness and witnessing. Loneliness is darkness, and witnessing is how to come into the area of light. To be guided by the light. Loneliness is darkness, impotence, and on the contrary, aloneness is light and patience. When aloneness is absolute, it does not mean loneliness. Loneliness is a negative state. It is miserable. You are hanking for the other, and the other is not available. That is a state of loneliness. You are hankering for something or someone, and that is not available to you for some reason or the other. Then there is loneliness. Loneliness creeps in then. You would like to be with the other, but that is not available. So instead you are forced to be lonely. Loneliness is enforced. It is empty. On the contrary, aloneness is positive. It is not forced in any way. Although the other is not available, but you are not missing the other. You are not missing the other. On the contrary, you have discovered yourself. The other is completely forgotten. You rejoice in your being. That state, when the other is completely forgotten, you rejoice in your own being. That state is that of aloneness. This does not mean that you will not have the company of the other. It is when you attain to the state of aloneness, you rejoice in your own being. Only then you can obtain the other, you enjoy, and journey becomes totally different. Aloneness makes you in the first place an individual. Otherwise, the person remains, you remain part of the crowd. Everyone else feels lonely, not knowing what to do and where to go. You are part of the crowd. There is collective unconsciousness that creeps in you. On the contrary, when you have discovered your own inner self, you enter the realm of aloneness. You are not part of the crowd. You are not followed or guided by the subtle ways of the crowd. There is no slavery. Instead, there is freedom. And the fragrance of that freedom, that fragrance is aloneness. And the paradox is only one who knows what aloneness is. Remember this paradox. Only one who knows the essence of aloneness, being an individual, being established in oneself, is capable of love too. That is one of the mysteries of life and mysteries of love. But in the absence of this, love remains an untold story. The paradox is that only one who knows what aloneness is capable of love too. That is one of the mysteries of life. Only an individual who has discovered his own inner self, who is established in his own being, is capable of love. People on the other hand go on playing the game of love, but they are not. So those gestures are empty, and empty gestures does not bring any result. There is no substance in it. It is just fantasy. Sometimes beautiful moments come, sometimes beautiful, other times it is ugly. It is a fantasy all the time. Only a real person who is established in himself, who has discovered the essence of aloneness, can really love, can give you the taste of your own being, can take you to the realm of transcendence, where you understand the very essence of love, very essence of male-female relation, this sex. Only then you can know that. We consider the physical maturity as the criteria to enter into male-female relation that we know as sex. But unless there is inner maturity, that act, that relation, that communion is not going to help you to transcend in any way. People go on playing the game of love, but they are not. So those gestures are empty, there is no substance in it, it's just a fantasy. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes ugly, but it is all the time fantasy. Only a real person who has discovered his own essence, who is established in his being, can really love. Someone's microphone is open, so the voice keeps on feeding. Just make sure your microphone is off. There is no substance in it, just pure fantasy, sometimes beautiful, other times ugly, but all the more it is fantasy. Only a real person who is established in his own self, who has discovered his innerness, who is established in his aloneness, can really love and give you a taste of love and take you to the state beyond love, the duality of love, not otherwise. Only an individual who is capable, who has discovered his own innerness, can take you beyond, never otherwise. And in aloneness the being is discovered. In aloneness also, alone you discover that you are looking for. You may call it your being, you may call it God, you may call it any name, but that does not matter. The essence remains the same. Only in that state, when you have discovered your own inner self, you are established in yourself, and you have understood the essence of aloneness, then the being is found. So this is the paradox. The person who hankers for the other never finds it possible to commune with the other because he is not. He is not established in oneself. There is nobody to commune. Only a person who has established himself into his innerness can commune with the other. When you are lonely, how can you commune with the other because you are not available? And that is one of the greatest mistakes, greatest blunders, paradox of it. If you have established yourself into, that is why the awakened one, there is no need for them to go into the world, but they stay in the world so that they can assist the erring humanity out of the throes of all that remains their way. So this is the paradox. The person who hankers for the other finds it impossible to commune because he is not available. Only a person who has discovered his innerness is capable of establishing a commune. Commune means a kind of a subtle relation between the two energies, between the two people, because the energy is resplendent through you. It flows through you. There is nobody to commune, so he goes on rushing from one relationship to another, from one thing to another, from one sensation to another. He goes on hopping and goes on being frustrated at every step. A miserable person who is not established in his own innerness, he jumps from one relation to another, one sensation to another, one thing to another, and thus goes on hopping, goes on being frustrated at every step. His whole life is just a hope and a frustration. Hope to establish that, and a frustration that the result has not been achieved that way. And no hope is ever fulfilled. Remember that. No hope is ever fulfilled. He chases the other, but he never finds the other. You have to create a pole in you to attract the other. It is the magnetic pole, the energy that pulls the other. It is the electrical energy that pulls the other. The same way, your aloneness becomes the pole, and that attracts the other, the corresponding energy to it. He chases the other, but he never finds the other because he has not done the homework. He has not yet discovered his inner self. He has not yet discovered himself. And such a person is asango. Asanga means, sanga means company of the other. Asanga means one who is not interested in the company of the other. He is fulfilled in his own being, fulfilled in his own company. Asango means one who is alone, and out of that aloneness, all that is beautiful is born. Out of that aloneness which you have established in yourself, you have discovered in yourself, and you are rooted into that. One day, beautiful, the beauty, the fragrance, everything emerges out of that. Love, freedom, silence, and communion, everything emerges out of that. Everything emerges out of that aloneness, All that is beautiful is born. Love is born. Freedom is born. Silence is born, and communion too. So aloneness is not against love. It is not against establishing any relationship. The first and the foremost criteria is to establish relationship with your own, to relate to your being. You are communed with your own being. Aloneness is the very foundation of love and the way to relate to. Aloneness is the very foundation of love and relationship, and it is very ecstatic state of being. The most ecstatic state of being. It is not empty. So those two words, aloneness and loneliness, appear to be synonymous, but they are not. Linguistically, they may appear to be, but existentially they are not. Instead, they are poles apart. Loneliness is darkness, impotence, and aloneness is light, is patience. Aloneness is resplendent with energy. It has the power to it. And when that happens, you can begin to witness your thoughts. You begin to see the thoughts that you are normally associated with, and the thoughts that you need to be associated with. You begin to know how thoughts are linked to one another. You start enjoying the process of thought, the thought process. Just see the nuance of thoughts. Nuances of thoughts, how they take turn, how one leads to another, how they get hooked with one another. It is really a miracle to watch. Just a small thought can take you to the farthest end of the globe. Just a small thought can take you to the farthest end, and if you look, you will not see any connection between the two thoughts. A dog starts barking, and your thought process is triggered off. Something is said and your thought process is triggered off. A particular circumstance or situation comes and your thought process is triggered off, and you are lost into the wild. You start moving with the thoughts. You enter into the woods of the words, woods of the emotions, and get lost, not finding the way to come out of that wood of emotions and thoughts. The dog is forgotten, and you remember a friend who had a beautiful dog or something else, and you are trying to meditate, or you have an important conversation to do. The dog is forgotten and you have gone into something else. Now you are off, then a friend is forgotten. First the dog that was barking is forgotten, you remember a friend, and now you are off. Your friend is forgotten, you remember the friend's wife who was beautiful, and so you go on and on. Then the other woman. There is no end to this process. Nobody knows. And it all started with the dogs barking. That is how the social opinion is formed according to sociology, the science of socializing. Just watch and see the association of thoughts, how thoughts are linked to one another, chained with one another. Enjoy it. Let it be a game. Play it deliberately, and you will be surprised. sometimes just enjoying it. You will find those beautiful pauses I just talked about. Those beautiful moments that I just talked about. And you never looked at those moments like that, those moments in life so fruitful, so overflowing like that. Suddenly you will find the dog is barking and nothing is arising in your mind. Dog is barking, the thoughts are coming and nothing. The screen is showing many events but nothing is bothering you. Suddenly you will find that dog is barking and nothing is arising in your mind. No change starts. The dog goes on barking and you go on listening to it. But you are not bothered, not disturbed by it. The dog goes on barking and you go on listening, no thought arises. A small gap will arise though. A small gap will arise though. But they are not to be produced. You cannot produce them, but they arise. They come on their own, and when they come, a beauty comes. When they come, they are beautiful, and in those gaps you start watching the watcher. But that will be natural and spontaneous happening. Natural and spontaneous happening. Again, thoughts will start and you will enjoy it. Go on easily, patiently, and take it easy. Awareness will come to you, but it will come naturally on its own. You cannot make an effort for it to come. You have to continue the process. The effort has to happen. The gardener does everything, provides the right kind of soil, the right fertilizer, occasional watering of the plant, how much water is to be given to the plant, and so on and so forth, and his job is finished. The seed blossoms on its own. The bud opens its petals on its own. Go on easily, take it easy. Awareness will come to you, but it will come indirectly and naturally to you. Watching, enjoying, seeing thoughts taking their own turn. A dog barking and many things starts happening in you. You remember a friend, you remember a friend's wife, this and that, and so on and so forth. The process continues. Watching, enjoying, seeing thoughts taking their own turn is as beautiful as seeing the sea with millions of waves arising on its surface. Thoughts take their own turns. Watching the thoughts is as beautiful as standing by the seashore, and you are watching millions of the waves arising on the surface of ocean. A wave rises and then falls. A wave rises and falls, appears to be coming to the shore and then recedes back. Another wave comes and the process continues. जिंदगी के समंदर में उठा था एक दिन लहरों सा. जिंदगी के समंदर में उठा था एक दिन लहरों सा. One day I rose on the surface of life's ocean like one of the myriad waves. जिंदगी के समंदर में उठा था एक दिन लहरों सा. मिट आज चला सागर की गहराई में. Today I have drowned, disappeared in the vastness of the ocean. मिट आज चला सागर की गहराई में. रह गई एक खामोशी सी मौज में. रह गई एक खामोशी सी मौज में. तूफानों को जैसे साहिल मिल गया हर रह गुजर में. जिंदगी के समुंदर में उठा था एक दिन लहरों सा. One day I rose in the ocean of life like one of the myriad waves. मिट आज चला सागर की गहराई में. With the association of the awakened one, In his company I have drowned in the vastness of the ocean. The wave have disappeared as the wave and it has become oceanic. The wave has disappeared as the wave, an individual wave, and instead it has become oceanic. रह गई ये खामोशी सी. Now when that happens, there remains a tranquility, a moment of tranquility. रह गई ये खामोशी सी, तूफानों को जैसे साहिल मिल गया हर रहगुजर में. When there is a storm, the spread of the ocean becomes so wide that you cannot find the shore, miles and miles and miles. Cannot find the shore. And this is what happens when in a state of despondency comes, when you are plunged into a state of misery, you do not find any solution, you do not find the shore. तूफानों को जैसे मिटा चला सागर की गहराई में, रह गई ये खामोशी सी मौज, रह गई ये खामोशी सी हर मौज में. In every circumstance and situation there is a tranquility. तूफानों को जैसे साहिल मिल गया हर रहगुजर में, as if the vicissitudes of life has formed shore. Each moment of turmoil has found its shore. रह गई ये खामोशी सी, तूफानों को जैसे साहिल मिल गया हर रहगुजर में. Watching, enjoying, seeing thoughts taking their own turn is as beautiful as seeing the ocean, standing by the seashore and watching the millions of waves arise. This too is a sea, and thoughts are waves. But people go and enjoy the waves in the ocean, and they do not enjoy the waves in their consciousness. Waves arising, consciousness weaving. One of the beautiful statements, consciousness is weaving. But people go on and enjoy the waves by standing by the side of the ocean, but they do not enjoy the waves arising in the ocean of their consciousness. I teach you to enjoy everything, otherwise we go on finding something or the other and to fight with. Sometimes fighting with sex, next time fighting with anger, and somebody starts fighting with thinking, and someone else starts fighting with emotions, and sometimes with the body. But one thing is the same, they all fight. Whether it is anger, whether it is frustration, whether it is sex or anything else, fight remains the core of everything of your life. And to fight is to destroy the innerness. There is no need to fight love. All fighting energy has to be transformed into love energy. Then loneliness becomes witnessing. And in the moment of witnessing the loneliness, many things emerge out of you. The ocean of the innerness. These are the gems from the being of the ocean. Gems from the deepest core of your being. I am sharing with you gems from the deepest core of my being. I am sharing with you gems from the deepest core of my being. Deepest core of my being. Only this much for this morning. Until tomorrow. Take care and do have a pleasant day.